The dead marriage's sun shined brightly over the grand city of Zalara Prime. Tall crystal towers sparkled under the twin moons. In the center of the city, an ancient tradition was taking place, one that filled many hearts with fear. Inside the tall marble hall stood Lyraya, a young alien girl with soft silver skin, long glowing hair, and wide purple eyes. Her heart pounded inside her chest as she waited quietly. She wore a beautiful white gown. But this was not a gown of happiness. It was a gown of debt. Her family owed a great sum of credits to one of Zalara's powerful trade guilds, and to pay that debt, they had sold her into marriage. She was being given away like property. The heavy burden. Lyraya's father stood beside her. His face was pale and full of shame. "I'm sorry, my daughter," he whispered, avoiding her eyes. "We had no choice." Lyraya clenched her hands tightly, but said nothing. She wanted to cry, but her tears had already dried in the days before. She had known this day was coming. In Zalara culture, when families could not pay their debts, they often offered their daughters in arranged marriages to wealthy buyers. It was legal, it was normal, but it was not right. Lyraya had always dreamed of love, of choosing her own partner, of being seen as more than a price. Now, all her dreams were crushed. The remorseless the guest whispered. Lyraya heard pieces of their gossip. Her family was foolish to borrow so much. "I heard the groom is not even Zalara born. He's an off-world human. Strange creatures, those humans." Lyraya's heart sank even deeper. A human? She had never met one. Some said humans were kind. Others said they were cold and selfish. Either way, she expected the worst. The arrival of the groom's grand doors opened. The crowd turned as the groom entered. Lyraya slowly lifted her eyes, prepared to see some old, cruel, greedy man. But what she saw made her freeze. A tall man stood there, wearing a simple but elegant dark suit. His skin was pale like hers, but his features were different. Strong jaw, kind brown eyes, soft dark hair. He did not walk with pride or greed. He walked calmly, with gentle eyes full of something Lyraya did not expect: kindness. Their first meeting ceremony began. The old priest read the words of union, calling them forward. Lyraya stood stiff, unsure. The human man, Daniel, stood beside her. She risked a glance at him. To her surprise, he smiled softly, speaking quietly. "You don't have to be afraid." Lyraya's eyes widened. His voice was warm, honest. "You are my husband," she whispered. Still in shock, Daniel nodded gently. "Only if you want me to be." The vowed priest continued the ceremony. "Do you, Daniel of Earth, accept this union?" Daniel answered firmly. "Yes, I accept." The priest turned to Lyraya. "Do you, Lyraya of Zalara, accept this union?" Lyraya's throat tightened. She wanted to scream no, but the eyes of her family, the debts, the law, all held her frozen. But then, she saw Daniel's face again. There was no hunger, no demand, only soft patience. For some reason, her fear lessened. Her voice came out as a soft whisper. "Yes, I accept." The silence ready after the ceremony. Daniel guided Lyraya into his small private hovercraft. The vehicle lifted gently into the sky, heading toward his home outside the city. Inside the cabin, silence filled the space between them. Lyraya sat stiffly, her hands resting on her lap, ready for anything. Daniel spoke gently. "You are free to speak, or not. I will not demand anything from you." Lyraya glanced at him, confused. "Why did you do this?" she finally asked. "Why would a human pay such a high price for a stranger?" Daniel looked forward, staring calmly. "Because you deserve better than to be sold to someone cruel." A spark of confusion. Lyra didn't understand. No one had ever spoken to her like this. "But you own me now." Daniel shook his head. "No, Lyraya, I don't own you. You're not a thing. This marriage may have started because of a debt, but I did not come to claim a slave." His voice grew even softer. "I want us to build trust, to know each other, and one day, if you wish, to build something real. But only if you wish it." Lyraya's mind spun with confusion. This was not what she had feared. This was something new, something strange, something that made her heart stir. A tiny seed of hope as they arrived at his peaceful home, surrounded by quiet fields and glowing trees. Lyraya whispered softly to herself, "Maybe not all arranged marriages are cages." The first tiny spark of hope was born inside her heart, a spark that neither of them knew would soon grow into something far greater. The gentle stranger. The next morning, soft sunlight shined through the tall windows of Daniel's home. The air smelled fresh, filled with the sweet scent of Zalara's flowering trees. Lyraya stood by the window, her silver hair glowing in the morning light. She looked out at the peaceful garden, but inside, her heart was full of confusion. She was married, yet nothing was happening like she had feared. No chains, no harsh orders, no dark rooms. Just quiet. The first breakfast meal entered the room holding 2 cups of warm tea. He placed one gently on the small table. "Good morning," he said softly. Lyraya nodded, unsure how to respond. She sat carefully at the table, eyes watching him. Daniel noticed her stiffness, but said nothing. He simply smiled and sipped his tea finally. She asked softly, "Why are you being kind?" Daniel's voice remained calm. "Because I respect you." Her doubt. Lyraya shook her head. "You don't even know me. You paid a great price for this marriage. Most men would demand things." Daniel placed his cup down. "Yes, I paid your family's debt, but not to own you." He paused before adding, "I saw you standing in that hall. Lyraya, you look so strong, even while carrying fear. No one should be sold because of family mistakes." Lyraya's eyes softened slightly. "You could have taken advantage. You didn't." Daniel nodded. "Because love, real love, cannot be forced. If it comes by choice." The garden walked with her that day. Daniel invited her to walk through the garden. Lyraya agreed, though she stayed cautious. The garden was filled with soft glowing flowers and gentle singing birds. The air felt lighter. As they walked, Daniel listened carefully while Lyraya told small stories about her home city and her childhood dreams. For the first time in a long while, she spoke without fear. Daniel smiled at her words. "You have a beautiful mind," he said. Lyraya blushed slightly. No man had ever spoken to her like that before. The quiet kindness day after day, Daniel continued to show only gentle respect. He never crossed any line. He gave her space to explore the house freely. He offered soft conversation, quiet laughter, and always looked into her eyes with calm warmth. The longer Lyraya stayed, the less her heart felt trapped. One evening, as they sat watching the twin moons rise, Lyraya whispered, "You're different from what I thought humans would be." Daniel chuckled. "Not all humans are kind, but I chose to be." The small smiley, a tiny smile appeared on Lyraya's face, the first real smile since her wedding day. Daniel noticed but said nothing, respecting her quiet progress. Inside Lyraya's heart, a strange new feeling grew. Was this what trust felt like? Was this the beginning of something more? The first dream at night. Lyraya lay in the soft bed Daniel had prepared for her. For the first time, her dreams were not filled with fear or chains. Instead, she dreamed of walking freely through the glowing gardens, laughing beside Daniel. Her heart felt lighter. Maybe, just maybe, this marriage was not a prison. Maybe it was the start of something beautiful. The growing bond days turned into weeks. Lyraya no longer woke up with fear. Every morning, she walked freely through the house, breathing fresh air, feeling the soft grass under her feet, and watching the shining flowers bloom under Zalara's twin sons. Daniel was always nearby, calm, patient, and gentle. The heavy walls inside Lyraya's heart slowly started to crumble. Simple moments every evening. Daniel and Lyraya shared meals together. They laughed softly at stories from Earth and Zalara. They spoke of small things, favorite foods, silly mistakes, and peaceful dreams. Lyraya found herself smiling more, laughing freely. For the first time in her life, she was not being judged. Daniel never tried to control her. He only listened, supported, and respected her space. The curious question only evening, as they sat under a large glowing tree, Lyraya asked softly, "Why did you really come to Zalara?" Daniel paused before answering. "Because I wanted something real." He looked into her glowing purple eyes. "On many worlds, people chase wealth and power. But when I saw how you were being sold like a price tag, I couldn't allow it." Lyraya whispered, "You could have walked away." Daniel smiled gently. "Yes, but then I would have walked away from you." Her heart beat faster. The dance of trust days passed, and with every conversation, a new warmth grew between them. One quiet evening, Daniel softly played an old human melody. The music was gentle, full of warmth. He offered his hand carefully. "Would you like to dance?" Lyraya hesitated. She had never danced before, but something inside her trusted him. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. They moved slowly under the soft moonlight. Their steps were awkward at first, but soon they found a gentle rhythm. Lyraya felt her heartbeat match his. The distance between them was shrinking. the spark of feeling after the dance. They sat close under the stars. Lyraya spoke softly. I never expected to feel this safe, this free. Daniel smiled. That is how love should feel. Her cheeks warmed. Is this love? Daniel answered with kind eyes. It might be the beginning. The unspoken truth, neither of them said it yet, but both hearts quietly knew. What started as a dead marriage was slowly turning into something pure, something real. Something they both never expected. Love. The growing danger bit while their bond grew. Not everyone was happy. Far away. Powerful men who had lost money because of this marriage watched in anger. They whispered in secret meetings. The human has spoiled our plans. We will take back what was promised. And so, a new danger began to grow in the shadows. The threat returns. Days on Zalara had become peaceful for Daniel and Lyraya. Their walks through the glowing gardens, the soft music in the evenings, and the quiet laughter at every meal made it feel like a dream. But far away, shadows moved. The powerful dead lords who once controlled Lyraya's family watched with growing anger. They had lost control, and now they wanted revenge. The secret meeting in a dark chamber deep in Zalara's trade district. A group of rich creditors gathered. Their leader, Varek, slammed his fist on the table. The human ruined our contract. That girl was ours to sell. Another man sneered. He thinks this marriage paid the full debt. But we can twist the law. We can claim more. They nodded in agreement. We will take her back and punish the human for interfering. The plan was set. The unexpected visitor a few days later, as the sun set behind the hills. A black hovercraft arrived outside Daniel's house. Daniel stepped outside, surprised to see the finely dressed men. Can I help you? Daniel asked calmly. The older man smiled, but his eyes were cold. We represent the trade guild, sir. There's an issue with your wife's debt. Daniel's face stayed steady. The debt was paid in full. The man's smile sharpened. Not entirely. There are extra fees, penalties, unfinished terms. Lyraya stepped beside Daniel, her face pale, her voice trembled. That's not true. The man ignored her. If you cannot pay, we will reclaim what belongs to us. His cold eyes stared directly at Lyraya. Daniel Standenil stepped forward, placing himself between the men and Lyraya. His voice was calm, but firm. She is not property. She is my wife. She belongs to no one. The men laughed coldly. The law does not care about feelings. Human. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Then we'll fight the law. The men gave one last threat before leaving. You will regret this. Human. Their hovercraft disappeared into the dark sky. The fear returns inside the house. Lyraya sat quietly, her hands shaking. They will come back for me, she whispered. Daniel sat beside her, gently taking her hand. They will try, but we will not let them win. Lyraya's voice broke. I'm scared. Daniel lifted her chin softly, making her look into his eyes. You are not alone. You never will be. The strength inside her that night, as Lyraya lay awake. Her fear slowly turned into anger. For years, she had accepted being controlled, sold, silenced. But not anymore. Beside her now was a man who saw her, not as a debt, but as a person, as a woman, as his equal. She whispered softly in the dark, I won't be taken again. The fire inside her heart was growing stronger. The battle ahead. Nil and Lyraya knew one thing. The coming days would test their love. The dead lords would return. They would have to fight, not just for freedom, but for each other. The final confrontation morning came with dark clouds rolling across Zalara's sky. Daniel and Lyraya stood near the garden, holding hands. They could feel the storm coming, not just in the sky, but in their hearts. The dead lords were coming. This time, they were not sending polite men with fake smiles. They were sending force. The Aravala large black hovercraft landed outside the house. Heavy armored guards stepped out, weapons ready. At the front stood Varek, the cold leader of the trade guild. His voice was sharp as he approached. Enough games, human. You have no right to keep her. The debt remains. She belongs to us. Daniel stepped forward calmly, never letting go of Lyraya's hand. The debt was paid. This is my wife. She belongs to no one. Varek sneered. We own the law. We own the power. You cannot stop us. The stand of Karaja. Lyraya's heart pounded. But she stood firm beside Daniel. No more hiding. No more fear. She raised her voice. I am not property. I am not a price. I choose my own life. Varek laughed coldly. You think choice matters here? You are ours by contract. Daniel's voice grew strong. Then break your contract, or face the world seeing who you really are. Varroc's face darkened. Then you both die. He raised his hand, signaling the guards to move forward. The unexpected support suddenly. More hovercrafts arrived from the city. People from Zalara had gathered. Other victims of forced debt marriages, friends, neighbors who had watched in silence for too long. Among them were some government officials who had long suspected the trade guild's illegal activities. One official stepped forward, his voice loud. No one belongs to you, Varroc. Your crimes are exposed. The council is watching. The guards hesitated, lowering their weapons. Varroc's eyes widened in shock. You have no proof. The official raised a small device. We have every record, every illegal contract, every secret threat. The fall of the debt lord's guards backed away. Police ships landed quickly, surrounding the debt lords. Varroc shouted in rage as he was arrested. This isn't over. But it was. The trade guild's power was broken. The dark system of forced marriages and debt slavery was falling apart. The victorious the hovercrafts flew away with the captured debt lords. Silence returned. Lyria turned to Daniel, tears filling her eyes, not of fear, but of relief. It's over. Daniel smiled, pulling her gently into his arms. You're free, Lyria. Truly free, she whispered softly. No, Daniel, we are free. They stood together under the soft light of the twin suns, hearts full of peace. The storm had passed, and love had won. A true marriage of love. Dark days were behind them. The nightmare of forced marriage and debt slavery was over. The trade guild had fallen. The corrupt leaders were arrested. The cruel system was gone. For Lyria and Daniel, a new life had truly begun. A home made of love. They moved to a quiet valley on Zalara, a place far from the noise of the city, where green fields danced with soft winds and glowing flowers bloomed under the twin moons. Their new house was small, but full of warmth. Daniel built the home with his own hands, while Lyria planted beautiful trees and flowers around it. They worked together, laughed together, and dreamed together. Inside these walls, there were no debts. No contracts. Only love. The simple joys every morning. Daniel made fresh tea, while Lyria sang softly as she walked through the gardens. The birds listened to her songs, and the flowers seemed to glow brighter when she smiled. At night, they sat under the open sky, wrapped in soft blankets, watching the stars. Daniel often held her hand, whispering, "This is the life I dreamed of." And Lyria would softly reply, "You didn't just free me from my past. You gave me a life I never believed was possible." Helping others held that story inspired many. Other young women who had once been trapped by forced marriages came to them, seeking hope. Lyria welcomed them with gentle hands and an open heart. She taught them, "You are not your past. You are not your debt. You are more. You are free." Daniel worked with the leaders of Zalara, creating new laws to protect freedom and end arranged debt marriages forever. Together, they became a symbol of change, the true wedding on day. Daniel surprised Lyria. He stood under the glowing tree where they had first danced. In his hands, he held a small silver ring, simple but beautiful. His voice trembled softly as he spoke. "Lyria, we married once because of a debt, but today, I want to marry you by choice, not because we must, but because we want to." Lyria's eyes filled with tears. Her voice broke with happiness. "Yes, Daniel, 1,000 times, yes." The real vow, surrounded by friends, by people they had helped, and under the shining twin moons, they spoke new vows. There were no contracts, no buyers. No debts. Only the hearts promising love, respect, and partnership. Daniel looked deep into her eyes. "I promise to stand beside you every day, as your partner, your friend, your love." Lyria smiled through her tears. "And I promise to love you freely, forever, with all of my heart." They kissed as the crowd cheered. This was their true beginning. The peaceful life. Years passed. Their love only grew stronger. They raised children, not by blood alone, but by choice, adopting young ones who had lost families to the cruel system that once ruled Zalara. Their home was always filled with laughter, music, and the gentle joy of a family built on love. At night, when the stars glittered above, Lyria would rest her head on Daniel's chest and whisper, "You were supposed to be my prison, but you became my freedom." Daniel kissed her softly and replied, and you became my heart." The legacy of Love Aether's story became part of Zalara's history. But Daniel and Lyria never sought fame. For them, the greatest reward was simple: waking each morning, holding each other close, and knowing they had built a life together, a life chosen by love, asterisk.